Welcome everyone to the Daily Dizzle for Tuesday, June 14th, 2011. It's Tommy Dizzlemits here as always, and if you can't tell, we're at least one step closer to our usual routine. We've gotten rid of the crappy cell phone video clips, and we're at least back to the webcam format for the show. And thanks to Dizzlemits for allowing us access to our webcam while Tommy Dizzlemits' central computer systems are still being worked on. That might be a summer project, so we might not have, the cool video intro or theme song or closing music or credits or anything like that for a little while. But we're at least trying to get back to what we were best at, which was coming on here, shooting the shit about what's important, and hopefully teaching you something new that you didn't know before. So, as we've been talking about, the summer box office is kind of in a bad spot right now. On tomorrow's episode, we will actually run through, from the beginning to beginning of summer now, we'll run through every single movie, because there's a lot that came out, and, you hear some of the names, and you just automatically assume they're huge success stories, like another Pirates of the Caribbean, another X-Men movie, another Kung Fu Panda. A lot of people don't follow the ins and outs and the breakdowns of things, and a lot of the big blockbusters just aren't that successful. So we will have that full list tomorrow. But as we were talking about yesterday, this past weekend was a little bit of a weird weekend. Super 8 came out, it had a huge hype behind it, because it was J.J. Abrams, guy from Cloverfield and Star Trek, and Spielberg, the guy from E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and every awesome blockbuster of the last 20 or 30 years. So, of course, everyone was expecting huge results. It ended up coming in very, very short. Estimates had it pegged at $37 million, and it ended up coming in about $1.5 million shy of that. Which is, that's not the most abnormal thing in the world. Estimates change, whatever. And the studio was like, well, we estimate it came in ahead of our estimates, or we thought it was going to be tracking at. But they didn't talk about the fact that, oh yeah, they had pegged it higher as of a week ago, and then the last week when they realized that their advertising hadn't really clicked, they had to dumb down their expectations and keep dumbing them down a little further. When all is said and done, Super 8 looks like it's a sequel to Cloverfield. Cloverfield came out years ago, was a surprise smash hit. Super 8 came in about $5 million short of the opening weekend of Cloverfield, despite the fact that Super 8 had a much more lucrative placement in the time. Summer blockbusters, should be huge. They shouldn't be making less money than movies that came out in January, which tends to be a dead zone of the box office, especially January from years ago, when things were kind of on the upswing, but hadn't quite turned around yet. Now we're on another downswing from the box office, though, as some of the summer blockbusters have not panned out. Look at Super 8. If you track the attendance with other similar movies, because a lot of people are comparing it to E.T., because Spielberg's name is on it too, and where it was released in the year was around the same time that E.T. was released decades ago. E.T. and Super 8 had equal attendance on their opening weekends. That's not saying anything real good about Super 8, considering E.T. Came out at a time where, even if it opened to a decent-sized attendance, you had movies that would double that the next weekend, and then by the third weekend they had quadrupled their attendance, and you could do 10, 20 times your opening weekend business. Nowadays, no matter what, your opening weekend is usually at least a fifth of your overall gross, more likely a quarter, and now with the age of the blockbuster that opens to $100 million, like The Hangover, and then starts to drop off, sometimes you're lucky if you can get another 50% of what you did from your opening weekend. So, Super 8, they're talking, it's got good reviews, and it's probably going to play well into the summer. And they're going to have to keep blowing that smoke and talking themselves up. They hope that it's going to cross $100 million. This summer, actually, a lot of the movies are weak. This is the first time in God knows how long that we're almost halfway through the year, and not a single movie has crossed $300 million. But as we said, tomorrow we'll have the more specific breakdown on that. But there was one other movie that opened this past weekend that was also a bomb in its own right. We're, of course, talking about Judy Moody and the Not Bummer Summer. I guess whoever made this movie had to have been the person who was responsible for Nancy Drew being remade a couple years ago. Because that one was another attempt to get girls to come out to the summer box office. That one only opened to $8 million on its way to $25 million. Judy Moody, unfortunately, didn't have any kind of fan base built in. At least people know Nancy Drew. Even if you're not going to see it, you hear the name Nancy Drew, and you know what the fuck it is. Judy Moody Moody is probably not a good way to describe anything, or not a good word to have in your title if you want to try and attract, happy-go-lucky people. And it ended up proving so, as it ended up making $6 million for the weekend. If you want comparisons of other weak-performing summer kid movies, Aliens in the Attic was the last, weakest one probably. That came out last year, and it opened to at least $8 million. So, even though it was a good shot at trying to come up with an original concept and try and get kids to go out to the movie theaters, if it's the summer, you gotta have toys or explosions or some kind of tie-in with a fast food Happy Meal if you want kids to come see your movie. That's about all the time we've got for today, considering we already pushed it to over 5 minutes, and that's about where we want to cut off the length for the long-running episodes for the next month or so. But as we said, tomorrow we're going to run through the summer box office from start to finish, and we'll let you know the most successful movies of the summer so far, the ones who are, at least going in range. They're not going to make a ton of money, but they're going to make some money, and at the very least, that's what the studios expect. And we will also have the list of the surprising bombs so far for the summer. So be sure to keep it tuned here tomorrow for the next edition of the Daily Dizzle. And be sure to keep checking back every day. Will you try and get the videos posted in the afternoon? We say noon Eastern, but sometimes that's right when we're waking up. So we tend to run a little bit late. But be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. That's the best way to keep up on all the latest videos as they're posted. Then they pop right up, and you can be like, oh, time to learn something today. So, that's all the time we've got for today's Daily Dizzle. Hopefully you learned something, or at least entertained for the last 6.5 minutes. So, for today's Daily Dizzle, I'm Tommy Dizzlemits. We will see you on Wednesday? Wednesday. Come back tomorrow. See ya.